a marriage spoiled through suspicion. At 6:07 on Monday, Elaine watched her marriage come to an end. She was returning home later than usual, taking a different route to avoid traffic due to an accident. The traffic light in front of her turned red, and she stopped abruptly. She sat and waited, looking lazily across the street, when she saw her husband Sam coming out of the hotel with a young girl. She watched as he leaned over, kissed the girl on the cheek, and then headed towards the parking lot while the girl headed back. "Not again," she moaned. Both Elaine and Sam had been married before, both in their early 20s then. Sam's first wife had left with a lot of drama, as he said. They had just gotten married too soon, and she had met someone else. Elaine's first marriage, however, ended in disaster. After 10 years, she thought. A happy marriage, until she came home from an early trip to catch him in bed with his secretary. How trivial, she thought. Mutual accusations flew back and forth and, inevitably, with no children to think about, they'd slid toward divorce. Even years later, it irritated her how easily he'd moved on. She spent agonizing years, forgotten and alone, wondering what she'd done wrong while he married a silicone tramp, had kids, and enjoyed his life without her. Then she'd met Sam, and life had picked up again. They dated sporadically, then constantly, and finally he proposed to her. 4 years ago, they were married and happy. Or so she thought, she reminded herself bitterly. There had been the occasional argument. He thought she spent too much money sometimes. Was that what it was about? No, everyone quarreled over things like that, and they weren't in a bad financial state. There was an uncomfortable moment 2 years after the wedding when, concerned that her biological clock was running down, she consulted a specialist and found out she couldn't have children. Sam wanted kids. Is that what this is about? No, Sam took it well, comforted her for months when she cried about it, said they could adopt if it was that important. Their love life wasn't bad, she thought. Yeah, maybe they only did it once a week these days. So was that the point? She wasn't sure. She rarely said no to him, but maybe he didn't want to ask all the time. No, she thought, remembering the image of the girl she'd just seen. It was about a pair of beautiful breasts, an ass that didn't show cellulite, and a gaze that looked at the man with adoration. Maybe it wasn't what it seemed, she thought, grasping at straws, but she didn't really believe it. He'd said he'd be late, not answering his cell phone because he was going to have a meeting with someone. Not lying outright, but letting her think he was at the office. The traffic light in front of her turned green, which she didn't notice, and only the impatient honks of drivers behind her brought her back to the present. Her eyes filled with tears. She drove half a block, turned down a side street, stopped, and cried. When it was finally over, she lowered her visor and looked down at herself, trying to fix her makeup. Her cell phone rang. It was Sam. "Hi, honey," he said. "Where are you?" "Oh, I'm on my way home." "Is everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah, why?" "Oh, you sound a little funny." No, I'm fine." She didn't want to deal with it. She tried to talk as if nothing had happened. "Are you home?" "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Do you want me to get some Chinese food?" Yeah, sure. I'll see you when you get home." She quickly hung up, got home before he did, and went to the bathroom to clean up her face. "How was your day?" she asked. "Bad day at the office. Too much to do," he replied with his mouth full. "Did anything else happen?" "No." "Why do you ask?" he asked with a puzzled expression on his face. Guilty? Maybe not. She wanted to think not. But who was she kidding? "Oh, nothing. Just chatting." She checked his cell phone while he was in the shower. 17 calls to and from a number she didn't know in the last 3 days. She picked up the home phone, dialed 67 to lock the caller ID. "Hello," said a young voice. A feminine young voice. She hung up immediately. "I think Sam is cheating," she told her friend Marjorie at lunch on Wednesday. "What?" Elaine told her about what she'd seen on Monday, about the phone calls. "Oh my God, Al. That's awful. Did you confront him?" "No. He'll just deny it. That's exactly what Jim did back then. 'Show me proof,' he'd say." "Maybe it was just the one time," Marjorie suggested. "You know, one-night sex, and he'd feel guilty about it and stop. 17 phone calls, over 3 days. I don't think it's a one-time thing. Besides, with jerks like that, a pair of breasts does wonders to erase the guilt." Marjorie shook her head sympathetically. "So what are you going to do?" At that moment, the cell phone rang. It was Sam. "Hi, honey. I'm going to be late again tonight. I won't be too late. Maybe an hour or so. Don't expect me for dinner." She didn't know what to say, so she just said, "Okay." "What did he say, Al?" "He won't be here for dinner. He's working late." They stared at each other. "He's seeing her again," Elaine said in despair. "Yes, he might be," Marjorie replied. "I'll have to see about that." They sat in Marjorie's car in front of the hotel and watched. She watched his car pull into the parking lot, watched him get out, get in. "Should I go in and find them?" "I doubt you can. It's not registered, and you don't know her name." She started crying. "No, wait!" "Here they come." Elaine picked up her phone and snapped a picture as Sam and the girl walked out the door, watching as he hugged her before getting into the car. She watched him drive away. It was Saturday. She heard his phone ring, saw him glance at the display, and then walk out onto the patio. She wasn't proud. She walked quietly to the sliding doors, put her ear to the door, trying to stay out of sight. It was hard to hear. "Okay. Tomorrow?" "No. Her parents are coming." "I thought you were staying with your parents?" "Oh, I understand." "Well, I can't." "How about Monday?" "Okay." "No, I haven't told her. We'll talk about it later." The meaning of those words pierced through her. "I love you." He hung up. Those were the last words that decided everything. The pain of the past 2 days twisted her from the inside out and changed. It became rage over him treating her like this. "Loves that cheating girl, doesn't he?" she thought. "You think he'd tell her, don't you?" she continued fiercely. "I don't think so." She would be ready, and then she would tell him, and then she would make him realize what it was like to be treated like trash. And when he'll be the one to cry, and she'll take whatever the law allows her and walk away with her head held high. She walked out onto the patio, ignoring his slightly guilty face. "Dinner soon. Come on in." After dinner was over and the dishes were washed, Sam turned on the TV to watch the basketball game. Elaine went out to the backyard by herself, opened the phone, and made a call. She'd been cheerful all Sunday, maybe a little snarky with him. "Probably thinks I'm having a woman's day, you stupid asshole. Too stupid to imagine I might have other reasons." "Are you both all right, sweetheart?" her mother asked. "Of course, Mom. We just had a little argument." "Good. I'm sure you'll talk it out." That night before bed. "Do you still love me, Sam?" "Of course I love you, honey." "Good." She hoped it was a little true. It would help. When Sam came home on Monday, a week after Elaine had first seen him, his world began to crumble just as hers had. She called him that afternoon. "What time will you be home for dinner?" "Elaine, I should be home at 6:30 as usual." "Why?" he asked. "I want to do something special, and it's a secret. Can you make sure you're not late?" "No problem. I have a meeting until 5:30. Half an hour to get home. I'll be there between 6 and 6:30. What do we have today?" "It's a surprise," she said. "I'll see you later." He laughed. Okay. Love you, sweetheart." "Yeah, see you later," she said and hung up. The meeting was canceled, and Sam decided it was time for him to leave. Tonight was the wrong night to be late. What he had to say could be ugly, and he didn't want Elaine to already be in a bad mood when he started. He walked through the kitchen door, tossing his keys on the counter. "Hey, honey, you in here?" There was no response. The first thing he saw was her laptop standing on the kitchen table with a sign, "Press Play," stuck on the screen. He pressed a key to bring the screen back to life and saw the media player unfolded on the screen. He pressed the play button. "Hi, Sam." Or should I say, "Hello, you cheating asshole." Elaine's face on the screen contorted with anger. He saw her raise the phone so that the camera built into the computer could see it. "Do you recognize her?" "I know it's not a very good picture. It's hard to take one with a phone from a car. But I think you probably recognize her. In case you're not sure, here's a hint. She's the cheating girl you made love to behind my back. You thought I was stupid? You know, maybe I was. Maybe it had been going on for a long time and I was just too blind to see it. Or maybe it had just started, but there had been others over the years. It didn't matter. After all, assholes get caught, and you're clearly an asshole." Sam stood and stared, stunned. "Perhaps you're wondering why I'm not sitting there telling you this in person? Perhaps you're wondering why your clothes aren't scattered all over the front yard and the locks aren't changed?" Ah, that would give it all away. Now you're asking, what happens next? I guess I'm right. Well, Sam, here's the thing. I've always loved the expression, sauce for the goose is the same as for the gander. Somewhere right now, somewhere between 6 and 6:30, you're sitting in the kitchen of the house you destroyed. And where's your wife? Well, Sam, she's somewhere else right now. As the clock ticks down to 6, she's sharing this moment with you. Sharing it by starting to make some guy feel good. I'm afraid that by the end of the night, Tom is going to turn into a very tired guy. Do you remember Tom? Maybe not. I think I've mentioned him a few times, but he works in a different department, so maybe not. He's certainly not bad looking. And tall. He's about 6 feet. Do you think he's good? Oh, I really hope so. He's quite nice. It's funny, too. I could imagine myself maybe going on a date with him if I wasn't such a very loyal little wifey. He likes me, too. He's divorced, and when I told him my marriage was over, too, and let him know I was interested in a little fiddling, he was just fine with that. How are you feeling right now? She asked gloatingly. He felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. She stared at the screen with a cold, hard smile on her face. What's the situation, huh? Here you are, but where am I? My phone's on. You can call me. Come on. I think I'd love to hear your desperate call. I won't be able to answer that call, of course, because I was always taught not to talk with my mouth full. She laughed hoarsely at her own joke. But maybe you'll try many times and I can think of you while you're thinking of me? Or will you just leave me some delightful messages asking me not to? Isn't it fun to share? You shared yourself with the little cheater. And now I'm sharing myself with Tom. Oh, and with you, I suppose, although you only see it in your imagination. Let me describe some of the other things we'll do tonight. I wouldn't want you to get in trouble. Sam fiddled with the thought, stopping the video when she continued, not wanting to hear another word. How could this have happened? He had absolutely no plan for this moment. He sat there for a long time, his head pounding and life around him shattering into pieces. What was she doing? More importantly, how could he stop it? Should he call her? No, she said she wouldn't answer. Drive around the hotels? It was a small town, but there were plenty of hotels in the center and on the bypass, and it was almost 5:30. Her phone. He opened the browser on his computer and clicked on the link to Apple's Mobile Me site. Cursing how badly his fingers were shaking, he logged into the site, clicked Account, and then the menu item, Find My iPhone. Waiting. Come on. A blue circle appeared on the map, somewhere on the corner of 8th and Jefferson. Jefferson Apartments. Grabbing his keys off the counter, he jumped out, his cry of, "God, please let the traffic be traffic-free," causing the eyes of passers-by to glance in his direction. He didn't care. 20 tense minutes later, he pulled into the parking lot of the Jefferson Suites Hotel. He made a lap halfway around the lot before he spotted her Honda, standing alone in front of the back of the building. His eyes wandered to the windows and sliding glass doors of the rooms in front of him. What room? Only two of them had their curtains down. If she was in there with some guy, the curtains would definitely be drawn. He ran up to the first one and knocked on the glass door. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. He ran across a few rooms to another room and knocked on the door. Again, nothing. Knocked again. He heard some movement, and the curtains slid open. He'd never seen the guy before, but his head was almost at the very top of the glass, and Sam realized he'd gotten into the right room. "Let me in," he demanded. I don't know what your deal is, buddy, but I think you got the wrong room." The guy's voice was muffled by the glass. "I didn't get the wrong number. Open this door or I'll kick it down. Maybe we should just let the police handle this," the guy said, starting to turn back into the room. "What, are you pissed? You're not man enough?" Sam's tone was deliberately contemptuous. The guy turned around and stared at him for a moment, clearly unimpressed. Sam was smaller than him. He reached out, clicked the lock, and opened the door. "Did you say something?" "Oh, you could beat the hell out of me, Tom," Sam said, not backing down an inch. "But I'm not going to give up easily, and the question you have to ask is, are you willing to mess with someone this furious who's going to try to rip your balls off just so you can rip a piece of ass off his wife?" Tom's face reflected shock, both at the fact that this guy knew his name and wasn't some random lunatic, and at the sincerity he heard in that threat. Then the voice that Sam feared but knew would be there said, "Let him in, Tom." She was sitting on the bed, her blouse completely unbuttoned, revealing a lacy bra, her hair mussed and her lipstick a little smeared. "Started early?" he asked caustically. 6 Mile is still a few minutes away." "Just warming up a little," she replied. "But trust me, the main event is about to happen." They stared at each other. Tom broke the silence. I think you two need some alone time. I'll be in the front room." "Don't go far, honey. He'll be gone soon," Elaine told him. "Yeah, never mind. The door closed." "You can't do that, Elaine," Sam said. She could feel the anger radiating from him. "You can't stop me. We're consenting adults. Oh, maybe you could pick a fight, but Tom is a lot bigger than you, and I think management will call the police pretty quickly when I start yelling. You want to spend the night in jail while I spend the night here? I was going to go home later, but I can certainly go out for an encore in the morning." Her anger matched his anger, word for word. "I'm serious. Don't do this." "I'm sorry, you don't get a vote. You know, I think you should leave now, Sam. Enjoy imagining what's going on here. I know I was thrilled to think about what you've been doing this week." Venom oozed from every word. She saw those words hit their target, saw the pain in his eyes when his mind, no matter how much he resisted it, conjured up an image he didn't want to face. She felt a small prick of sympathy at the sight of him realizing his life was in the toilet, but it was a small part of it, just a habit. The bigger part of her felt the vengeful glee that came from being able to hurt someone back who had hurt you completely. He looked at her, deflating, the anger leaving him, leaving only despair on his face. "Don't do this, Elaine, please. I want to tell—" She cut him off. "Oh, I think you do, Sam. Everyone needs a little comfort in their hour of grief, and my comfort is in the other room. I'm sure you'll find yours," she said in a sweet tone. "What's her name?" "Susan," he said in a machine-like voice. "Okay, where's Susie?" "She's in the car," he admitted, defeat written all over his body. "In the car! You asshole!" Any trace of doubt she felt was swept away as a new wave of rage swept over her. "Were you with her this afternoon?" "Quite a bit," he said, "but not in the way you think." "A little quickie before going home to your unsuspecting wife, eh? A little afternoon with your hot 18-year-old cheating girlfriend and then taking her to her parents' house before cooking a home-cooked meal?" Sam spoke slowly, sadly. "She's 19, not 18. Elaine exploded. I don't care how old she is, asshole. She's not a cheater. Oh, please. Every word was full of contempt. And I didn't drop her off. I brought my daughter home to meet you. Elaine looked at Sam in astonishment. What? Sam looked at her. My daughter, I brought her home to meet you. You don't have a daughter, she protested. I thought I did. But apparently Marianne was pregnant when we broke up. She gave up the baby after it was born and never told me about it. Susan didn't find out until she was 18 who her biological parents were. A month ago, she decided to find me and meet me. Elaine sat there, her jaw literally dropped. She called me last weekend when you were at your parents' house and we met. We were going to get together this week to talk. Why didn't you tell me? He was silent for a moment. I think for a couple of reasons. First, Susan wasn't ready to meet you. She said it was partly because she wanted to get to know me one-on-one without strangers, and partly because she felt conflicted about the fact that I no longer loved her real mother, like she was a mistake, and wanted to deal with it slowly. But I wouldn't have imposed on her. Sam held up his hand. The second reason, Elaine, was simply because I was nervous. You and I can't have kids. We had a hard time because of that, remember? Seeing me suddenly show up with my daughter. Well, I wasn't sure how you'd react, so I was a bit of a coward. I wasn't going to push Susan to meet you. But we decided to do it today. That's why she's in the car. Tom poked his head into the room. Elaine, I think I have to go. I thought you weren't really married anymore, but apparently that's not quite true. Elaine shifted her gaze from one man to the other. All right, Tom. I think that's the best thing to do. I'm sorry. Tom glanced at Sam, receiving a cold stare in return. I'm sorry. I thought it was different, he said. Tom held the stare for a second, then nodded sharply, turned and walked out. They heard the door to the suite close. Elaine was silent for a while. Your daughter, she said quietly. I understand what you thought. I was devastated. I know. I'm really sorry you felt that way. He sat down on the edge of the bed. She grabbed his hands. Oh, Sam, thank God you got here in time. I know I kissed him, but it didn't go any further than that, I swear. If you hadn't gotten home earlier, or if I hadn't had this plan to wait until you saw my video and started calling, Sam, I swear nothing happened before you got here. You got here in time. She reached out, took his hands again and pulled him down to sit him on the bed. I don't know how you found me. I was shocked when I saw you through the window. Oh, God, that would have been a disaster. I would have ruined our whole marriage. Oh, Sam, I'm so sorry. Let me recover here and I can meet her and we can go home. He looked at her. I think you've misunderstood, Elaine. I rushed over here to try to put an end to this because I still care about you. No matter what happens, I knew you'd never forgive yourself if you slept with that jerk and then found out the truth, he said, removing his hands from hers. But we're not together anymore. Her eyes widened with shock and she reached for him. He stood up and looked down at her. What are you talking about? She asked with a look of incomprehension on her face. I'm leaving you, Elaine. I can't accept what you've done. But Sam, you have to understand, I knew you did it. No, Elaine, you didn't. If you walked in on me cheating on you, then yes. But you didn't. You didn't know. You assumed. And based on that assumption, you decided to commit this vile treason. You thought I was a cheating asshole. Those were your exact words, I believe. You decided you wanted out. You decided you wanted to have sex with someone else while you were still married. Worst of all, you decided to torture me into thinking about it while you slept with him. At that moment, tears came out of Elaine's eyes. Sam, no, it hurt. He continued, ignoring her protests. You also chose not to talk to me. You chose not to see if there was any other possible explanation for what was happening. Above all, you chose not to treat me with the slightest bit of respect when you left me to make love to that asshole. That's not a partnership, that's not marriage. It's certainly not love. Please, Sam, I made a mistake. It won't happen again. I've learned my lesson. It's not a lesson, Elaine. It's an affirmation of who you are. More importantly, it's a statement about who we are as a couple. What you planned for me to experience this very second has not a shred of us in it. This is not the relationship I want. It's not the relationship I deserve. Oh my God, Sam, I'm so sorry, but I saw you kissing her outside the motel. Who would have thought? Yeah, maybe everyone would have thought that. If I saw you coming out of a motel with some guy kissing you, I'd probably come to the same conclusion. In fact, I'm sure I would. I don't blame you at all for that. Your suspicions were well-founded. But then, he continued, ignoring her interruption, the difference is that I would have sat you down in front of me and demanded that you explain what you were doing. I'm sure I'd be furious. Furious! I'd probably even say a few things I'd regret later and have to apologize for forever. But I would talk. I'd give you a chance to give me an alternative explanation, hoping you'd have one. I'd trust you enough to hope that there was a chance to save our marriage, that even if it was the worst thing that had happened, that it was what I had envisioned, you would have recognized it as a mistake and wanted to try to fix it. We might not have been able to fix it, but at least we would have explored it. I wouldn't have gone and had sex with someone else to get back at you. Sam, I didn't sleep with him. Really, we just made out a little. Don't dump me because I made out with a guy. I really want us to work on our marriage. It will never happen again. He looked at her with some disbelief. First of all, you may have only kissed him, but the main event was supposed to happen right after that, and you described exactly what you were going to do to him, even things you never let me do. She shrieked, but he ignored her and continued. But you don't understand that. I'm not leaving you because you kissed him, or even really because you were going to sleep with him. Although, I admit, that probably had an impact too. No, the real reason is that you didn't value us enough to even talk to me. Let's not even talk about trusting me. You didn't want to know if I regretted doing it. You didn't want to know if I still loved you. You didn't want to cling to our marriage. You just wanted to hurt me. If you can't trust me, if you can't even try to communicate when you think that trust is gone, then I can't trust you. Sam, you can trust me, she wailed. No, I can't. I know now that when you're sure you're right in your own mind, when you decide there's no need to ask anyone else about their thoughts, you won't treat me as an equal. You'll be making one-sided decisions, and they may involve inflicting unimaginable pain on someone you claim to love. Think of the images that would be running through my head right now if I hadn't found you. And you wanted me to see those images. You wanted me to be at home going crazy while you described every single thing you and Tom were going to do. With each word, she pressed herself deeper into the bed. Well, okay. You made your unilateral decision. Now I'm making mine. I loved you tenderly. I still love you because it's not something you can turn off like a light switch. Even though I hate what you tried to do to me. What you did to me. Love is here. I can't just stop loving you, but I intend to work on it. I'm going to my daughter. Oh God, Sam, she pleaded. Please don't do this. But he stopped listening. He lowered his eyes, took his wedding ring off his finger and threw it in her face. Then he turned and walked out the door. She looked around the room frantically, trying to find her shoes to run after him. Her gaze fell on the clock. It was 6:07 a.m. on Monday, and Elaine was watching her marriage come to an end. The end! Subscribe to my channel. Thank you!